I stood at the altar, my heart pounding with anticipation as I watched Sarah walk down the aisle. Her white dress flowed like a river, and her smile was brighter than the sun. It felt like just yesterday, but in reality, 10 years had flown by since that perfect day. We had built a life together, filled with love, laughter, and 2 beautiful children. Our suburban home was our sanctuary, a place where we dreamed, fought, and made up, believing our bond was unbreakable. Life had a way of lulling you into a sense of security. Our routine was comfortable: work, dinner, kids' soccer games on weekends, and occasional date nights. It was a rhythm we both danced to, seemingly content. That's why when Sarah mentioned her upcoming high school reunion over coffee one morning, I didn't think much of it. She seemed a bit hesitant, perhaps unsure if she should go. I encouraged her, thinking it would be a wonderful trip down memory lane for her. The day of the reunion arrived. Sarah spent hours getting ready, meticulously picking out her outfit and doing her makeup. I watched her transform from a practical mom and dedicated wife into a glowing version of her younger self. She was nervous, I could tell, but I brushed it off, attributing it to the natural jitters of seeing old friends after so many years. "You look amazing," I said as she twirled in front of the mirror, her dress catching the light just right. She smiled at me, but there was something different in her eyes, a spark I hadn't seen in a long time. "Thanks, Josh," she replied, giving me a quick peck on the cheek before grabbing her purse. "I'll try not to be too late." "Have fun," I called out as she walked out the door, feeling a strange mix of pride and apprehension. She came home late that night, her eyes alight with excitement and a smile that seemed to hold a secret. I asked her how it went, and she greeted me with stories of her old classmates, their successes and failures, and the funny moments they shared. She mentioned meeting Jake, her high school boyfriend, in passing, but it didn't register with me then. After all, it was just a reunion, a chance to relive old memories. In the days that followed, I started noticing small changes. Sarah was on her phone more often, sometimes smiling at the screen with a look I couldn't quite place. She seemed more distracted, more distant. At first, I chalked it up to the usual post-event glow, thinking she was just happy to reconnect with old friends. But then one evening I saw a message flash on her phone from Jake. Curiosity piqued, and I asked her about it. She laughed it off, saying he was just an old friend and they were catching up. Still, a seed of doubt was planted in my mind. As weeks went by, Jake's name began to pop up more frequently in our conversations. Sarah talked about their high school days, the fun they had, and how much they changed. She even mentioned meeting him for lunch one day, saying it was a coincidence. I wanted to believe her, to trust her, but something didn't feel right. One night, after she had gone to bed, I picked up her phone and scrolled through her messages. My heart sank as I read the words exchanged between her and Jake. They weren't just catching up, they were reminiscing about their past relationship, expressing feelings that went beyond friendship. It felt like a punch to the gut. Confronting her was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I asked her straight out about her feelings for Jake. She didn't deny it. She confessed that seeing him again had stirred up emotions she thought were long buried. She didn't know what to do with these feelings, and it scared her as much as it scared me. In the days that followed, I found myself reflecting on our marriage and on the life we had built together. Was it all just a facade? I didn't want to lose her, to lose everything we had fought so hard to create. We agreed to see a marriage counselor, hoping to make sense of the chaos that had entered our lives. But before we could move forward, I needed to understand Jake's intentions. I decided to meet him man to man, to see what kind of threat he posed to my family. The meeting would be pivotal, a deciding factor in what the future holds for Sarah and me. Standing on the precipice of an uncertain future, I knew one thing for sure. Sarah's betrayal had opened my eyes to the fragility of the life we had built. How we navigated this storm would determine the fate of our marriage, and I was determined to fight for what we had, for the sake of our children and the love we once shared. Life carried on after the reunion, but things were different. It was subtle at first, the changes in Sarah's behavior. She was more distracted, her mind seemed to wander, and she often stared off into space, lost in thought. I tried to ignore it, attributing it to the busyness of life, but a gnawing feeling in my gut told me something was off. One evening, as we sat down for dinner, I noticed Sarah was unusually quiet. The kids were chattering away about their day at school, but Sarah seemed distant. I reached across the table and touched her hand. "You okay?" I asked. She snapped out of her reverie and smiled weakly. "Yeah, just tired. Work has been hectic." I wanted to believe her. I needed to believe her. But that night, as we lay in bed, I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to her silence. She fell asleep quickly, but I lay awake staring at the ceiling, my mind racing with possibilities. The next morning, as I was getting ready for work, I noticed Sarah's phone buzzing on the nightstand. I glanced at the screen and saw Jake's name pop up. My heart sank. Curiosity and a sense of foreboding got the better of me. I picked up the phone and read the message. It was innocuous enough, a simple "good morning," but it felt like a dagger in my chest. I decided to talk to Sarah about it that evening. As we sat on the couch after putting the kids to bed, I brought it up. "I saw a message from Jake on your phone this morning," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. She looked at me, a mixture of surprise and guilt flashing across her face. "He just wanted to say hi," she said, her voice too casual, too rehearsed. "Are you sure that's all it is?" I pressed. "You seem different since the reunion." "Distant," she sighed, rubbing her temples. "Josh, I didn't want to worry you. Jake and I have been talking a bit since the reunion. It was nice to catch up, that's all." I nodded, trying to keep my emotions in check. "Just catching up?" She hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, just catching up." I wanted to believe her. I needed to believe her. But something in her eyes told me there was more to the story. Over the next few weeks, my suspicions grew. Sarah was on her phone more often, smiling at messages and laughing at inside jokes I wasn't privy to. One evening, as she was in the shower, I couldn't resist the urge to check her phone again. What I found shattered my heart. The messages between her and Jake were more than just friendly. They were filled with memories, emotions, and a longing that should have been reserved for our relationship. I confronted her that night. "Sarah, we need to talk," I said, my voice trembling with a mix of anger and pain. She looked up from her book, her face pale. "What is it? I saw your messages with Jake. This isn't just catching up." "What's going on?" Tears welled up in her eyes. "I didn't mean for this to happen, Josh. Seeing him again brought back so many feelings. I don't know what to do with them." Her confession felt like a punch to the gut. "Do you love him?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. She shook her head. "I don't know. I love you, Josh. But these feelings, they're confusing." We sat in silence, the weight of her words hanging in the air. I felt like my world was crumbling around me. "We need help," I finally said. "We need to see a counselor, figure out what's happening between us." She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I want to fix this, Josh. I don't want to lose you." We agreed to see a marriage counselor, hoping they could help us navigate this storm. But I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. The woman I loved, the mother of my children, had feelings for another man. It was a wound that wouldn't heal easily. As the days passed, I tried to focus on our family, on our children. I watched Sarah closely, looking for signs of change, of commitment to fixing our marriage. But the seed of doubt had been planted, and it grew with every passing day. I knew I needed to confront Jake to understand his intentions. I couldn't move forward without knowing what kind of threat he posed to my family. The thought of meeting him filled me with dread, but it was a step I had to take. Standing on the precipice of an uncertain future, I knew one thing for sure: our lives would never be the same. The road ahead was fraught with challenges, but I was determined to fight for my marriage and for my family. The battle had just begun, and I was ready to face whatever came our way. The days that followed were a blur of tension and uncertainty. Sarah and I went about our routines, but there was a palpable distance between us. Every time I looked at her, I couldn't help but wonder what she was thinking, if she was thinking about him. The thought gnawed at me, keeping me up at night. One evening, after putting the kids to bed, I found Sarah sitting on the porch, staring out into the dark. I joined her, the silence between us heavy with unspoken words. "I think we need to talk," I said finally, breaking the silence. She turned to me, her eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and resolve. I know, she replied softly. We can't go on like this, Sarah. I need to understand what's going on in your head, what you're feeling. She took a deep breath, tears welling up in her eyes. I don't know, Josh. Seeing Jake again brought back so many memories. It was like stepping back in time, reliving all those emotions. But I don't want to lose you. I don't want to lose our family. Her words hung in the air, a stark reminder of the fragility of our relationship. I reached out and took her hand. I want to fight for us, Sarah. But I need to know what I'm up against. I need to meet Jake to understand what his intentions are. She nodded slowly, her grip on my hand tightening. I understand. I'll talk to him and set up a meeting. A few days later, Sarah told me that Jake had agreed to meet. My stomach churned with anxiety as I drove to the cafe where we had agreed to meet. I parked the car and sat there for a moment, gathering my thoughts and summoning the courage to face the man who had unknowingly disrupted my life. I walked into the cafe and spotted Jake immediately. He was sitting at a corner table looking somewhat anxious himself. I approached him and he stood up, extending his hand. Josh, right? I'm Jake, he said, his voice calm but tinged with nervousness. I shook his hand, trying to keep my emotions in check. Yes, Josh. Thanks for agreeing to meet. We sat down and for a moment, neither of us spoke. The silence was thick, charged with tension. Finally, I broke the ice. Jake, I'll get straight to the point. I know about the messages between you and Sarah. I need to understand what your intentions are. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. Josh, I never meant to cause any trouble. Seeing Sarah at the reunion brought back a lot of memories for me too. But I respect your marriage. I never intended for things to go this far. I studied his face, looking for any signs of deception. Do you have feelings for her? He hesitated, then nodded. Yes, I do. But I also know she's married, and she has a family. I don't want to come between you two. I got caught up in the past. His honesty was disarming. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my thoughts. I appreciate your honesty, Jake. But you need to understand what this has done to us. Sarah and I are trying to work through this, but it's not easy. He nodded, looking genuinely remorseful. I understand. I'll step back and give you both the space you need. I never wanted to hurt anyone. We sat in silence for a moment, the weight of the situation settling in. Finally, I stood up. Thank you for meeting with me, Jake. I hope we can move past this. He stood up as well, extending his hand again. I hope so too, Josh. Good luck. As I drove home, I felt a mix of emotions, relief, anxiety, and a lingering sadness. Meeting Jake had given me some clarity, but it didn't erase the pain of Sarah's betrayal. I knew we had a long road ahead of us, filled with difficult conversations and hard work. When I walked through the door, Sarah was waiting for me, her eyes filled with apprehension. How did it go? She asked quietly. I took her hands in mine, looking into her eyes. It went as well as it could, I suppose. Jake understands the situation and promises to step back. But Sarah, this doesn't fix everything. We still have a lot to work through. She nodded, tears brimming in her eyes. I know, Josh. I'm committed to making this right, to fixing our marriage. We hugged, holding on to each other tightly, both of us understanding the gravity of what lay ahead. The path to healing would be long and arduous, but we were willing to take the first steps together. In the days that followed, we started seeing a marriage counselor. The sessions were tough, forcing us to confront painful truths and buried emotions. But slowly, we began to rebuild the trust that had been shattered. It wasn't easy, and there were moments when it felt like we were taking one step forward and two steps back. But with each session and each honest conversation, we grew a little stronger. The road to recovery was long, and the wounds from Sarah's betrayal would take time to heal. But we were committed to each other, to our family, and to the love that had brought us together in the first place. As we navigated this difficult journey, we learned to forgive, to communicate, and to cherish the bond that we had almost lost. Standing on the precipice of an uncertain future, I knew one thing for sure. We were willing to fight for our marriage, to rebuild the trust and love that had been tested. The battle was far from over, but we were ready to face it together, one step at a time. Our first session with the marriage counselor, Dr. Reynolds, was nerve-wracking. Sarah and I sat in the waiting room, our hands clasped together, a silent show of solidarity amidst the turmoil. When we were called in, Dr. Reynolds greeted us warmly, her demeanor calm and inviting. "Welcome, Josh and Sarah. Please have a seat," she said, gesturing to the comfortable chairs across from her. We sat down, and she began with a simple question. "What brings you here today?" I took a deep breath, glancing at Sarah before speaking. "We've been going through a difficult time." Sarah reconnected with an old flame at her high school reunion, and it stirred up a lot of emotions. "We're trying to navigate through this and rebuild our marriage." Dr. Reynolds nodded, her expression empathetic. "Thank you for sharing that, Josh. It's a challenging situation, but the fact that you're both here shows your commitment to working through it." "Sarah, would you like to add anything?" Sarah squeezed my hand, her voice trembling slightly as she spoke. "I'm so sorry for the pain I've caused. I never intended for things to get out of hand with Jake. I love Josh and our family, and I want to do whatever it takes to make things right." Dr. Reynolds smiled gently. "Acknowledging the pain and expressing your commitment to healing is a crucial first step. Let's start by exploring the emotions you're both experiencing and identifying the underlying issues." Over the next several sessions, we delved into the complexities of our relationship. Dr. Reynolds helped us navigate through the pain, anger, and confusion that had enveloped us. We discussed our communication patterns, the unspoken expectations we had placed on each other, and how we had both contributed to the distance that had grown between us. One of the most challenging exercises was writing letters to each other. Dr. Reynolds asked us to pour our hearts out on paper, expressing our deepest feelings without holding back. It was a cathartic experience, one that allowed us to see each other's perspectives more clearly. In my letter, I wrote about the betrayal I felt and the hurt that had consumed me since discovering Sarah's connection with Jake. I also acknowledged my shortcomings, the times I had taken our relationship for granted, and the ways I could have been a better partner. Sarah's letter was filled with remorse and love. She apologized for her actions and for letting herself be swayed by emotions from the past. She also wrote about her fear of losing me, her desire to rebuild our trust, and her commitment to our family. Reading each other's letters was a powerful moment. It brought us closer, allowing us to see beyond the pain and recognize the love that still existed between us. It was a reminder of why we had chosen each other in the first place and why we were fighting to stay together. As the weeks turned into months, we continued to make progress. We learned to communicate more openly and to share our fears and insecurities without judgment. We started scheduling regular date nights, rediscovering the joy of each other's company. These moments of connection, no matter how small, were crucial in rebuilding our bond. One evening, after a particularly emotional counseling session, Sarah and I sat on the porch, reflecting on our journey so far. The night was quiet, the stars twinkling above us, casting a serene glow over our conversation. "I'm proud of us," Sarah said softly, her head resting on my shoulder. "We've come a long way." I nodded, feeling a sense of peace that had been absent for so long. "We have. It's been tough, but I feel like we're stronger because of it." She looked up at me, her eyes filled with a mixture of hope and determination. "I promise to never take what we have for granted again." "I love you, Josh." "I love you too, Sarah." And I promised the same. As we held each other under the starlit sky, I felt a renewed sense of hope for our future. The road to healing was still long, but we were walking it together, hand in hand. The trust we had lost was slowly being rebuilt, brick by brick, with each honest conversation and every shared moment. Our journey was far from over, but we were no longer standing on the edge of uncertainty. We were moving forward, one step at a time, committed to rebuilding the life we had almost lost. And in that commitment, we found the strength to face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that our love and determination would guide us through. In the months that followed, our relationship continued to grow and evolve. We faced setbacks and moments of doubt, but we also experienced moments of profound connection and joy. Through it all, we learned the true meaning of forgiveness and the power of unwavering commitment. Our family, once on the brink of falling apart, was now stronger than ever. We had weathered the storm, emerging with a deeper understanding of each other and a renewed sense of love. The journey had been painful, but it had also been transformative, teaching us the value of resilience and the importance of fighting for what truly matters. As we stood on the threshold of a new chapter in our lives, I knew that the challenges we had faced had only made us stronger. Together, we would continue to build the life we dreamed of, grounded in trust, love, and a shared commitment to our family. The future was uncertain, but with Sarah by my side, I felt ready to face whatever came our way, knowing that we had already overcome so much. Months had passed since our first counseling session, and life had settled into a new rhythm. The wounds from Sarah's emotional affair were healing, though the scars remained as a reminder of the fragility of trust. We had come a long way, but the journey was far from over. One Saturday morning, I woke up to the smell of pancakes and the sound of laughter from the kitchen. I smiled, grateful for these moments of normalcy. As I entered the kitchen, I saw Sarah flipping pancakes while our kids, Emily and Jacob, sat at the table, eagerly awaiting their breakfast. "Good morning, everyone," I said, kissing Sarah on the cheek and ruffling Jacob's hair. "Morning, Dad." Emily and Jacob chimed in unison. Sarah turned to me, her eyes twinkling with warmth. "Good morning, Josh. I made your favorite, blueberry pancakes." I felt a surge of gratitude for these simple, joyful moments. "Thanks, honey. They smell amazing." We sat down together, enjoying breakfast as a family. The conversation flowed easily, filled with laughter and stories about the kids' latest adventures at school. It was in these everyday moments that I felt the strength of our renewed bond. After breakfast, Sarah and I decided to take the kids to the park. As we walked, hand in hand, I marveled at how far we had come. The park was bustling with families, the sound of children playing filling the air. We found a spot near the playground and settled down on a blanket, watching Emily and Jacob run off to play. Sarah leaned against me, her head resting on my shoulder. "It's a beautiful day," she said softly. "It is," I agreed, wrapping my arm around her. "I love these moments with you and the kids. They remind me of what's truly important." She smiled, her eyes reflecting the same sentiment. "Me too, Josh. We've been through a lot, but I feel like we're stronger because of it." Our peaceful moment was interrupted by Jacob's excited shout. "Dad! Mom! Watch me!" He was climbing the jungle gym, his face lit up with determination. We cheered him on, our hearts swelling with pride. These were the moments that made all the hard work worth it. That evening, after the kids were in bed, Sarah and I sat on the porch, enjoying the quiet of the night. The sky was clear, stars twinkling above us. It had become our ritual, these nightly conversations, a time to reflect and connect. "How are you feeling about everything?" Sarah asked, her voice gentle. I took a moment to gather my thoughts. "I'm feeling hopeful. We've come a long way, and I can see the changes in both of us. It's not easy, but I think we're on the right path." She nodded, her eyes searching mine. "I feel the same way. I know I've hurt you, and I can never take that back. But I want you to know how committed I am to us, to our family." I reached out and took her hand, squeezing it gently. "I know, Sarah, and I'm committed too. We're in this together." As the days turned into weeks, we continued to build our new normal. Our marriage counselor, Dr. Reynolds, had been instrumental in helping us navigate the complexities of our relationship. Each session brought new insights and deeper understanding. We learned to communicate more effectively and to express our needs and fears without judgment. One afternoon, during a particularly enlightening session, Dr. Reynolds suggested an exercise that would challenge us to reconnect on a deeper level. "I want you both to write a list of 10 things you love about each other," she said. "Focus on the qualities that drew you to each other in the first place, and the strengths you've discovered along the way." We took the assignment to heart, spending the next week reflecting on our relationship. When we shared our lists in the following session, it was a powerful reminder of the love that had brought us together and the bond we had fought so hard to preserve. Sarah's list brought tears to my eyes. She wrote about my unwavering support, my sense of humor, and the way I always put our family first. She mentioned my kindness, my strength, and the way I made her feel safe and loved. Each item on her list was a testament to the depth of her feelings and her commitment to our future. My list for Sarah was equally heartfelt. I wrote about her compassion, resilience, and her ability to find joy in the smallest moments. I mentioned her dedication to our family, her creativity, and the way she made our house feel like a home. Each item was a reminder of why I had fallen in love with her and why I was determined to rebuild our relationship. Sharing these lists was a turning point for us. It reinforced our connection and reminded us of the foundation of love and respect that our marriage was built on. It wasn't about forgetting the past, but about acknowledging our growth and looking forward to the future with hope and determination. As we continue to navigate our new normal, we made a conscious effort to prioritize our relationship. We planned regular date nights, took weekend getaways, and spent quality time together as a family. These moments of connection, no matter how small, were crucial in rebuilding our bond and strengthening our commitment to each other. One evening, as we sat on the porch reflecting on our journey, Sarah turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "I've been thinking a lot about the future," she said softly. "About how we can continue to grow and evolve as a couple." I nodded, intrigued. "What do you have in mind?" "I want us to keep exploring new ways to connect, to keep the spark alive," she said. "Whether it's trying new activities, traveling, or simply being more intentional with our time together. I don't want to take what we have for granted ever again." Her words resonated deeply with me. I feel the same way. We've been through so much, and I think it's made us stronger. But we have to keep working at it, keep nurturing our relationship. We made a pact that night, a promise to each other and our family. We would continue to prioritize our relationship, communicate openly and honestly, and cherish the love that had brought us together. The road ahead was still uncertain, but with each step forward, we felt more confident in our ability to navigate whatever challenges came our way. Our journey was far from over, but we had learned the importance of resilience, forgiveness, and unwavering commitment. Together, we would continue to build the life we dreamed of, grounded in trust, love, and a shared vision for our future. The new normal we had created was a testament to our strength and determination, and it was a foundation we were proud to stand on, hand in hand, ready to face whatever the future held. Summer had arrived, bringing with it long sun-drenched days and the promise of new beginnings. As the school year ended, Sarah and I decided it was the perfect time to take a family vacation. We wanted to create new memories, to solidify the bond that had been slowly rebuilding over the past months. We chose a quaint beach town on the coast, a place neither of us had been before. It was a chance to explore something new together, to experience the joy of discovery as a family. The anticipation of the trip brought a sense of excitement and hope that we hadn't felt in a long time. The drive to the beach was filled with laughter and the kids' excited chatter. Emily and Jacob couldn't wait to dip their toes in the ocean, build sandcastles, and explore the boardwalk. Sarah and I exchanged smiles, feeling a sense of contentment that had been absent for too long. When we arrived at the beach house, the kids immediately ran to explore every corner. Sarah and I stood on the porch, taking in the view of the ocean stretching out before us. The sound of the waves crashing against the shore was soothing, a reminder of the beauty and power of nature. "This is perfect," Sarah said, slipping her hand into mine. "It is," I agreed, squeezing her hand gently. "Let's make the most of it." The days that followed were filled with simple pleasures and cherished moments. We spent our mornings on the beach, playing in the surf and collecting seashells. In the afternoons, we explored the town, visiting local shops and indulging in ice cream. Evenings were spent cooking together, sharing stories, and watching the sunset over the horizon. One evening, after the kids had gone to bed, Sarah and I sat on the porch, the ocean breeze gently ruffling our hair. We talked about everything and nothing, letting the conversation flow naturally. It was in these quiet moments that I felt the depth of our connection, the love that had weathered so many storms. "Do you remember our first trip together?" Sarah asked, her eyes sparkling with nostalgia. I smiled, recalling the memory. "Of course I do. We went to that little cabin in the mountains. We got lost on the way and ended up spending hours driving around, trying to find our way. She laughed, a sound that warmed my heart. And when we finally got there, we realized we had forgotten half our supplies. But it didn't matter, I said, leaning closer to her. We had each other, and that was enough. She nodded, her expression softening. It's always been enough, Josh. Even when things were tough, I never stopped loving you. I know, I said, my voice filled with emotion. And I never stopped loving you either. We've come so far, and I believe we can keep moving forward. We sat in comfortable silence, the weight of our shared experiences settling around us. The journey we had been on was far from easy, but it had brought us to this moment, a place of renewed hope and commitment. The next day, we decided to take a boat tour along the coast. As the boat glided through the water, the kids leaned over the edge, pointing out dolphins and marveling at the beauty of the sea. Sarah and I stood together, our arms wrapped around each other, enjoying the serenity of the moment. This is what it's all about, Sarah said, her voice filled with contentment. Being together, creating memories. I nodded, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. It's these moments that make everything worth ET. In the evenings, we started a new tradition, family game night. We gathered around the table, playing board games and card games, laughing and bonding over friendly competition. These moments of connection, no matter how small, were building blocks of our renewed relationship. As our vacation drew to a close, we reflected on the time we had spent together. The beach had been a place of healing and renewal, a chance to rediscover the joy of being a family. We returned home with a renewed sense of purpose, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Back in our everyday routine, we continued to prioritize our relationship. We maintained our regular date nights, scheduled time for family activities, and kept up with our counseling sessions. The trust we had rebuilt was growing stronger, supported by open communication and a shared commitment to our future. One evening, as we sat on the porch watching the stars, Sarah turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "I've been thinking about something," she said. "What's that?" I asked, curious. "I want to renew our vows," she said, her eyes shining with emotion. "I want to celebrate our journey, our commitment to each other, and the love that has brought us through everything." Her words took my breath away. "I think that's a beautiful idea," I said, my voice filled with emotion. "Let's do it." We began planning our vow renewal ceremony, involving the kids in the preparations. It was a chance to reaffirm our love and celebrate the strength of our family. As the day approached, we felt a sense of excitement and anticipation, knowing that this ceremony was a testament to our journey and our future together. The day of the ceremony was perfect. We gathered on the beach, surrounded by close friends and family. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the ocean. Sarah looked radiant, her smile reflecting the happiness we both felt. As we stood before our loved ones, holding hands, we exchanged vows that spoke of our journey, our love, and our commitment to each other. There were tears and laughter, a mix of emotions that reflected the depth of our bond. "I promise to love you, to support you, and to stand by your side through all of life's challenges," I said, my voice steady and heartfelt. "You are my partner, my love, and my best friend. And I promise to cherish you, to respect you, and to nurture our love every day," Sarah said, her eyes filled with tears. "Together, we are stronger, and I'm grateful for every moment we share." We sealed our vows with a kiss, surrounded by the cheers and applause of our loved ones. It was a moment of pure joy, a celebration of the love that had brought us through so much. As we stood on the beach, watching the waves crash against the shore, I felt a deep sense of peace. Our journey had been filled with challenges, but it had also been filled with growth, love, and unwavering commitment. The future was bright, and with Sarah by my side, I knew we could face anything that came our way. Our family was reborn, stronger, and more connected than ever. As we walked hand in hand along the shore, I knew that our love would continue to guide us, no matter where the journey led. Months had passed since our vow renewal ceremony, and life had settled into a beautiful rhythm of love, trust, and shared experiences. Our family had emerged from the trials of the past stronger than ever, and each day brought new opportunities for growth and connection. One evening, as Sarah and I sat on the porch, sipping tea and watching the sunset, she turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Josh, I've been thinking about something," she said. I looked at her, curious. "What is it?" "I want us to take a trip together," she said, her eyes shining with excitement. Just the two of us. The idea took me by surprise, but I couldn't help but feel a surge of anticipation. "Where would you like to go?" She smiled, her voice filled with enthusiasm. "I was thinking of Paris. It's always been a dream of mine to visit the city of love." Paris. The thought of exploring the romantic streets of Paris with Sarah filled me with a sense of excitement and adventure. "That sounds amazing," I said, unable to hide my enthusiasm. "Let's do it." We spent the next few weeks planning our trip, immersing ourselves in guidebooks and travel blogs, and counting down the days until our departure. It felt like a second honeymoon, a chance to reignite the spark that had brought us together all those years ago. When the day finally arrived, we boarded the plane with hearts full of anticipation. The flight passed in a blur of excitement and nervous energy, and before we knew it, we were touching down in the City of Light. Paris was everything we had imagined and more. We spent our days wandering through cobblestone streets, exploring museums and galleries, and indulging in decadent pastries at quaint cafes. Each moment was filled with wonder and awe, a reminder of the beauty and magic of love. One evening, as we stood on the banks of the Seine, watching the lights of the city twinkle in the distance, Sarah turned to me with a soft smile. "Thank you for bringing me here, Josh," she said, her voice filled with emotion. I wrapped my arm around her, pulling her close. "I wouldn't want to be anywhere else but here with you," I said, kissing her forehead. As we walked hand in hand through the streets of Paris, I felt a sense of gratitude for the journey we had been on. Our love had weathered storms and emerged stronger than ever, and I knew that our future held endless possibilities. When we returned home, we brought with us memories that would last a lifetime and a renewed sense of purpose. Our trip to Paris had rekindled the spark of romance and reminded us of the importance of nurturing our love. As we settled back into our everyday routine, we made a conscious effort to keep the magic of Paris alive in our relationship. We scheduled regular date nights, explored new hobbies together, and continued to prioritize open communication and trust. One evening, as we sat on the porch watching the stars, Sarah turned to me with a smile. "Do you remember when we first met?" she asked, her eyes twinkling with nostalgia. I nodded, recalling the memory with fondness. "How could I forget? It feels like a lifetime ago." "It does," she agreed, her voice soft, "but in a way it feels like we're just getting started." I looked at her, feeling a surge of love and gratitude. "I can't wait to see what the future holds for us, Sarah. As long as we're together, I know we can face anything." She smiled, leaning into me. "Me too, Josh. The best is yet to come." And as we sat there, under the starlit sky, I knew that our love would continue to guide us, lighting the way to a future filled with endless possibilities. Together we were ready to embrace whatever adventures lay ahead, hand in hand, hearts full of love and hope. Life had settled into a comfortable routine after our trip to Paris. The memories of our time in the City of Light continued to bring warmth to our hearts, serving as a constant reminder of the love and connection we shared. As the months passed, Sarah and I found ourselves drawn to new opportunities for growth and exploration. We had both undergone significant personal transformations in the wake of our marital challenges, and we were eager to continue evolving as individuals and as a couple. One evening, over dinner, Sarah broached the topic of furthering our education. "I've been thinking about going back to school," she said, her eyes alight with determination. I looked at her, impressed by her ambition. "That's a great idea, Sarah. What do you want to study?" She smiled, her excitement palpable. "I've always been passionate about art history. I want to pursue a degree and immerse myself in the world of art." Her enthusiasm was contagious, and I found myself nodding in agreement. "I think that's a fantastic idea. I'll support you every step of the way." Encouraged by Sarah's decision to pursue her passion, I began to reflect on my aspirations. I'd always been drawn to the idea of starting my own business, but fear and uncertainty had held me back in the past. Now, with Sarah by my side, I felt a renewed sense of confidence. One evening, I shared my dream with her over a glass of wine. "I've been thinking about starting my own company," I said, my voice tinged with excitement. "I want to create something meaningful, something that has a positive impact on the world." Sarah listened intently, her eyes shining with pride. "I think that's a wonderful idea, Josh. What kind of business do you want to start?" We spent the rest of the evening brainstorming ideas fueled by passion and a shared vision for the future. It felt like a new chapter was beginning, one filled with endless possibilities and opportunities for growth. In the weeks that followed, Sarah immersed herself in her studies, delving into the world of art history with gusto. She attended lectures, visited museums, and spent hours poring over textbooks and scholarly articles. Her dedication was inspiring, and I found myself falling in love with her all over again. Meanwhile, I began laying the groundwork for my business venture. I conducted market research, reached out to potential investors, and fine-tuned my business plan. It was a daunting task, but with Sarah's unwavering support, I felt confident that I could turn my dreams into reality. As we pursued our respective passions, we continued to prioritize our relationship, carving out time for date nights, long walks, and meaningful conversations. Our love had only grown stronger in the wake of our marital challenges, and we were committed to nurturing it every step of the way. One evening, as we sat on the porch watching the sunset, Sarah turned to me with a smile. "I'm so proud of us, Josh," she said, her voice filled with emotion. I looked at her, feeling a surge of love and gratitude. "I'm proud of us too, Sarah. We've come a long way. Together, we had weathered storms and emerged stronger than ever. Our journey of growth had brought us closer together, deepening our bond and strengthening our commitment to each other. As we watched the stars twinkle overhead, I knew that the future held endless possibilities for us. With Sarah by my side, I felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that our love would light the way. As Sarah and I continued to pursue our passions and nurture our relationship, we found ourselves reaching significant milestones in our personal and professional lives. Each achievement was a testament to our growth and resilience, and we made sure to celebrate them together as a family. Sarah's dedication to her studies paid off when she graduated with honors, earning a degree in art history. It was a proud moment for all of us, a culmination of years of hard work and determination. We attended her graduation ceremony, cheering her on as she walked across the stage to receive her diploma. After the ceremony, we gathered with friends and family to celebrate Sarah's achievement. There were tears of joy, laughter, and heartfelt words of congratulations. It was a moment of triumph, a reminder of Sarah's strength and perseverance. Meanwhile, my business venture had begun to take shape. With Sarah's support and encouragement, I launched my company, a social enterprise focused on environmental sustainability. Our mission was to create eco-friendly products that would help reduce waste and promote a more sustainable way of living. In the months that followed, my business grew steadily, gaining recognition for its innovative approach to sustainability. We partnered with local organizations and launched successful marketing campaigns, spreading awareness about the importance of environmental conservation. As my business flourished, Sarah and I found ourselves facing another milestone, our anniversary. It had been a year since our vow renewal ceremony, and we wanted to mark the occasion with something special. We decided to plan a romantic getaway to a secluded cabin in the mountains. It was a chance to escape the hustle and bustle of everyday life and reconnect with each other in a peaceful setting. We packed our bags and set off on the journey, filled with excitement and anticipation. The cabin was nestled in a pristine forest, surrounded by towering pine trees and the soothing sound of a nearby stream. It was the perfect setting for a romantic retreat, a place where we could unwind and celebrate our love. During our time at the cabin, we indulged in long walks through the woods, cozy evenings by the fireplace, and intimate conversations under the stars. We laughed, we cried, and we reflected on the journey we had been on together. As our anniversary approached, I surprised Sarah with a special gift, a beautiful piece of artwork from her favorite artist. It was a symbol of my love and appreciation for her. a reminder of the beauty and inspiration she brought into my life. Sarah was touched by the gesture, her eyes shining with emotion. "Thank you, Josh," she said, wrapping her arms around me. "This means the world to me." As we celebrated our anniversary surrounded by the tranquility of nature, I felt a profound sense of gratitude for the love we shared. Our journey had been filled with ups and downs, but through it all, our bond had only grown stronger. As we toasted to another year of love and happiness, I knew that our future held endless possibilities. With Sarah by my side, I felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that our love would always light the way. As Sarah and I reflected on the journey we had been on together, we found ourselves filled with a sense of gratitude for the love and resilience that had carried us through the challenges of the past. Our relationship had weathered storms and emerged stronger than ever, a testament to the power of love, forgiveness, and unwavering commitment. One evening, as we sat on the porch watching the sunset, Sarah turned to me with a smile. "Do you remember where we started?" she asked, her voice soft with nostalgia. I nodded, recalling the early days of our relationship with fondness. How could I forget? It feels like a lifetime ago. "It does," she agreed, her eyes reflecting the warmth of the fading sunlight. "But in a way, it feels like we're just getting started." I looked at her, feeling a surge of love and gratitude. "I couldn't agree more, Sarah. Our journey has been filled with twists and turns, but through it all, our love has remained constant." As we reminisced about the milestones we had reached together, the highs and lows, the triumphs and challenges, we found ourselves filled with a sense of pride for how far we had come. Our marriage had evolved and grown stronger with each passing year, a testament to our resilience and commitment to each other. Looking back on the memories we had created, the laughter, the tears, the moments of joy and sorrow, we realized that every experience had shaped us into the people we are today. We had learned valuable lessons about love, forgiveness, and the importance of communication, and we were grateful for the growth that had come from facing our challenges head-on. As we gazed out at the starlit sky, I felt a renewed sense of hope and optimism for the future. Our journey together was far from over, and I knew that there would be many more adventures and milestones to come. But no matter what the future held, I was certain of one thing. As long as Sarah was by my side, I was ready to face it all. With a sense of peace and contentment settling over us, we stood up from the porch and embraced, holding each other close beneath the twinkling stars. In that moment, surrounded by the beauty of the night, I knew that our love would continue to light the way, guiding us through whatever challenges and joys lay ahead. And as we stepped into the future together, hand in hand, I felt a deep sense of gratitude for the love that had brought us together and the journey that had made us stronger. Our story was still unfolding, and I couldn't wait to see where it would take us next. As our journey together continued, Sarah and I found ourselves at a new crossroads in our lives. Our children, Emily and Jacob, were growing up quickly, preparing to embark on their adventures as they navigated the challenges of adolescence and young adulthood. One evening, as we sat around the dinner table, Sarah broached the topic of college with Emily and Jacob. "Have you thought about what you want to study?" she asked, her voice gentle but probing. Emily, now a high school senior, looked thoughtful as she considered her options. "I'm interested in psychology," she said. "I want to learn more about how the human mind works and how I can help people." Sarah smiled, her eyes shining with pride. "That's wonderful, Emily. You would make a great psychologist." Jacob, who was in his junior year of high school, chimed in next. "I'm not sure yet," he admitted, "but I'm thinking about studying business. I want to learn how to run my own company someday." I exchanged a glance with Sarah, feeling a swell of emotion at the thought of our children growing up and pursuing their dreams. It seemed like only yesterday that they were just starting kindergarten, and now they were on the cusp of adulthood, ready to spread their wings and fly. As Emily and Jacob began to research colleges and prepare for the next chapter of their lives, Sarah and I found ourselves reflecting on our journey of parenthood. We had poured our hearts and souls into raising our children, guiding them through the ups and downs of childhood and adolescence with love and patience. Now, as they prepared to leave the nest and forge their paths in the world, we knew that it was time to pass the torch. to let go and trust that we had given them the tools they needed to succeed. One evening, as Sarah and I sat on the porch watching the stars, I turned to her with a smile. "I'm proud of the young adults our children have become," I said, my voice filled with emotion. She nodded, her eyes shining with tears. "Me too, Josh. They've grown into such remarkable individuals." As we watched the stars twinkle overhead, I felt a sense of peace settle over me. Our journey as parents had been filled with moments of joy and pride, heartache and uncertainty. But through it all, our love for our children had remained constant, a guiding light that had helped us navigate the challenges of parenthood with grace and resilience. As we prepared to send Emily and Jacob off into the world, I knew that our role as parents was far from over. We would continue to support and encourage them as they pursued their dreams, cheering them on from the sidelines and offering guidance whenever they needed it. As we stood on the threshold of this new chapter in our lives, I felt a deep sense of gratitude for the love and connection that bound our family together. Our journey was far from over, but with Sarah by my side and our children ready to spread their wings, I knew that the future held endless possibilities. As our children embarked on their journeys of growth and discovery, Sarah and I found ourselves entering a new phase of our lives, one marked by reflection, gratitude, and a renewed sense of purpose. With Emily and Jacob away at college, our home felt strangely quiet and empty. Gone were the days of bustling family dinners and chaotic mornings rushing to get the kids off to school. But in their absence, Sarah and I discovered a newfound sense of freedom and opportunity to reconnect with each other and pursue our passions. One evening, as we sat on the porch sipping tea, Sarah turned to me with a smile. "Do you remember when the kids were little?" she asked, her voice tinged with nostalgia. I nodded, recalling the chaos and joy of those early years with fondness. "It feels like a lifetime ago." "It does," she agreed, her eyes shining with memories. "But I wouldn't trade those moments for anything. They were some of the happiest times of my life." As we reminisced about the milestones and memories we had shared as a family, I felt a sense of gratitude wash over me. Our journey together had been filled with ups and downs, but through it all, our love had remained constant, a beacon of light guiding us through the darkest of times. With our children now grown and forging their paths in the world, Sarah and I found ourselves embracing new opportunities for adventure and growth. We traveled to far-flung destinations, explored new hobbies, and rediscovered the joy of spending quality time together, just the two of us. One evening, as we sat on a beach in Hawaii watching the sunset, I turned to Sarah with a smile. "I'm grateful for this time we have together," I said, my voice filled with emotion. She nodded, her eyes shining with love. "Me too, Josh. These moments are precious, and I wouldn't trade them for anything." As we watched the sun dip below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange, I felt a deep sense of contentment settle over me. Our journey together had been filled with twists and turns, but through it all, our love had remained steadfast, a source of strength and comfort in times of joy and sorrow. As we stood on the threshold of this new chapter in our lives, I knew that our love would continue to guide us, lighting the way as we navigated the challenges and joys of the years to come. With Sarah by my side, I felt ready to embrace whatever the future held, knowing that our love would always be there to sustain us, now and forever. As the years passed, Sarah and I found ourselves entering the golden years of our lives, surrounded by the warmth and love of our growing family. Our children had married and started families of their own, filling our lives with the laughter and joy of grandchildren. One evening, as we gathered with our loved ones to celebrate our wedding anniversary, I looked around the room, feeling a sense of awe and gratitude for the life we had built together. Our journey had been filled with love, laughter, and countless cherished memories. And as I looked into Sarah's eyes, I knew that our love was as strong as ever. As our grandchildren played and laughed, filling the room with their infectious energy, I felt a deep sense of pride in the family we had created. Our love had become a legacy, a beacon of light that would guide our children and grandchildren through the ups and downs of life for generations to come. As we toasted to another year of love and happiness, I couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought us to this moment. From the early days of our courtship to the challenges and triumphs of parenthood, Sarah had been my rock, my partner, and my best friend through it all. And as we danced together under the soft glow of the moonlight, I knew that our love would continue to grow and evolve with each passing day. Our journey together was far from over, but with Sarah by my side, I knew that the best was yet to come. As the night came to a close and our loved ones bid us farewell, Sarah and I stood hand in hand on the porch, watching the stars twinkle overhead. At that moment, surrounded by the beauty of the night, I felt a deep sense of peace and contentment settle over me. Our love had stood the test of time, weathering the storms and celebrating the joys of life with unwavering devotion. And as we stepped into the twilight of our lives together, I knew that our love would continue to shine bright, lighting the way for all who came after us. With Sarah's hand in mine and our hearts full of love, I knew that our journey was far from over. Together, we would continue to write the story of our love, a story that would live on in the hearts of our family for generations to come. As the years passed, Sarah's health began to decline. What had once been a vibrant and energetic spirit was now gradually fading, overtaken by the toll of time and illness. It was a difficult journey for both of us, filled with moments of sadness and uncertainty, but through it all, our love remained steadfast and unwavering. One morning, as I sat by Sarah's bedside, holding her frail hand in mine, I knew that our time together was drawing to a close. Her once bright eyes were now clouded with pain, but even in her weakest moments, her love for me shone through with a strength that defied all odds. As I looked into her eyes, I saw a lifetime of memories, the laughter, the tears, the joys and sorrows we had shared. And as her hand tightened around mine, I knew that our love would endure, transcending even death itself. In her final moments, surrounded by our children and grandchildren, Sarah slipped away peacefully, her spirit soaring free into the great unknown. As I held her lifeless body in my arms, I felt a sense of peace wash over me, knowing that she was finally at rest, free from the pain and suffering that had plagued her in her final days. As we gathered to say our final farewells, I felt a deep sense of gratitude for the love that had sustained us through the darkest of times. Sarah had been my rock, my guiding light, and my constant companion through it all, and now that she was gone, I knew that a part of me would always be missing. But even in my grief, I found solace in the memories we had shared, the laughter, the tears, the moments of pure joy and unbridled happiness. And as I stood at her graveside, surrounded by loved ones, I knew that our love would live on, a legacy that would endure for eternity. As I placed a single red rose on her grave, I whispered a final farewell to the woman who had been my everything, my wife, my partner, my best friend. And as I turned to walk away, I knew that she would always be with me, in my heart, in my memories, and in the love that would never die. In the wake of Sarah's passing, I found myself engulfed in a sea of grief and sadness, navigating the turbulent waters of loss with a heavy heart and tear-stained eyes. The days stretched on endlessly, each one a painful reminder of the void that had been left behind by her absence. But amidst the darkness, I found solace in the memories we had shared, the laughter, the love, the moments of pure joy that had filled our lives with light and warmth. As I immersed myself in the treasure trove of memories we had created, I discovered a glimmer of hope, a beacon of light shining through the shadows of my grief. One evening, as I sat alone in our empty house, surrounded by the echoes of our past, I found myself drawn to a box tucked away in the corner of our attic. It was filled with photographs, snapshots of our life together, frozen in time, capturing the beauty and essence of our love. As I sifted through the photographs, each one a cherished memento of our time together, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. Here, in these memories, Sarah was alive and vibrant, her laughter echoing through the halls of our home, her smile lighting up the darkest corners of my heart. With each photograph, I was transported back in time, to the early days of our courtship when love was new and exciting, to the joyous moments of our wedding day when we vowed to love and cherish each other until the end of time, to the quiet moments of intimacy and connection when we shared our hopes, dreams, and fears unburdened by the weight of the world. As I relived these moments, I realized that Sarah was not truly gone. She lived on in the memories we had created together, in the love that still burned brightly in my heart. Though she may no longer walk beside me, her spirit remained with me always, guiding me through the darkness and reminding me of the beauty and fragility of life. In the days and weeks that followed, I found comfort in the memories we had shared, drawing strength from the love that had sustained us through the darkest of times. As I moved forward, carrying her memory in my heart, I knew that she would always be with me, a guiding light illuminating the path ahead. In the wake of Sarah's passing, life took on a new and unfamiliar rhythm, a quiet melody of solitude and introspection that echoed through the halls of our home. But amidst the solitude, I found myself drawn to the beauty and simplicity of life, embracing each moment with a newfound appreciation for the fragility and preciousness of existence. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks turned into months, I began to find solace in the simple pleasures of everyday life. The warmth of the sun on my skin, the gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze, the laughter of children playing in the park. And with each passing day, I felt a sense of renewal wash over me, a rebirth of the spirit that had lain dormant within me for so long. One evening, as I sat alone on the porch watching the sun dip below the horizon, I felt a surge of gratitude for the life I had been given. The love, the laughter, and the moments of pure joy that had filled my days with meaning and purpose. And as I gazed out at the world spread out before me, I knew that there was still so much beauty and wonder left to discover. With a newfound sense of purpose, I set out to embrace life anew, seizing each moment with a sense of gratitude and wonder. I spent my days exploring new hobbies, reconnecting with old friends, and immersing myself in the beauty of the natural world. And with each new experience, I felt a sense of joy and fulfillment wash over me, a reminder of the infinite possibilities that lay ahead. As I journeyed through life, guided by the memories of Sarah and the love that had sustained us through the darkest of times, I found myself filled with a sense of hope and optimism for the future. Though she may no longer walk beside me, her spirit remained with me always, a source of strength and inspiration as I navigated the twists and turns of life's journey. As I stood on the threshold of this new chapter in my life, I knew that Sarah would have wanted me to embrace each moment with courage and grace, to live my life to the fullest, and never lose sight of the beauty and wonder that surrounded me. With her love as my guiding light, I set out to do just that, embracing each day with a sense of joy and wonder that filled my heart with gratitude and hope for the future. As time continued to weave its tapestry of moments, I found myself reflecting on the legacy of love and resilience that Sarah and I had built together. Our journey had been marked by joy and sorrow, triumphs and challenges, but through it all, our love had remained steadfast, a beacon of light guiding us through the darkest of times. With each passing day, I felt a renewed sense of purpose stirring within me, a desire to honor Sarah's memory by passing on the legacy of love and resilience that she had bestowed upon me. And so I set out to share our story with the world, to inspire others to embrace life with courage, compassion, and unwavering determination. I began by reaching out to local community organizations, sharing our stories, and offering support to those in need. Whether it was volunteering at a local shelter, mentoring at-risk youth, or organizing fundraising events for worthy causes, I poured my heart and soul into making a positive impact on the world around me, one small act of kindness at a time. As I immersed myself in service to others, I found a sense of fulfillment and purpose that I had never known before. Each smile, each word of gratitude, served as a reminder of the power of love to transform lives and lift spirits. And with each act of kindness, I felt Sarah's presence by my side, guiding me and inspiring me to continue spreading love and compassion wherever I went. In the quiet moments of reflection, I found myself drawn to the memories of our life together, the laughter, the tears, the moments of pure joy that had filled our days with meaning and purpose. As I looked back on our journey, I realized that our love had been the greatest gift of all, a gift that I was now privileged to share with the world. And so, as I stood on the threshold of this new chapter in my life, I made a solemn vow to carry Sarah's legacy forward, to live each day with courage, compassion, and unwavering determination. For though she may no longer walk beside me, her spirit would live on in the lives that we touched and the hearts that we healed, a testament to the enduring power of love to overcome even the greatest of obstacles.